Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. We have got so much to talk about this morning. 6:06 a.m. It's cold out there. Grab a coat on your way to work. 29 degrees. We've got to talk about this woman. I've got this clip that you are going to want to stay tuned for because this woman decides to swear off kids. She swore off kids. She swore off marriage because of feminism. That's what she tells us, or whatever, feminism or something. And that's why she decided to swear off kids and marriage. And now she's upset and she feels betrayed by the movement, by the feminist movement. And yet, this movement, they have yet to put an end to the invisible patriarchy. And I feel like we all got duped, lady. And her story is actually really sad. Her name's Melissa. We're going to talk about it because she recently wrote an op-ed for Business Insider and Fox News picked it up. So I've got the clip here. Also, we have to talk about a Seattle student failing a quiz for saying men can't get pregnant, even though men can't get pregnant. Okay, so we've got teachers out there dumber than dogs, dumber than rodents, because rodents, they even understand basic biology. So we're going to chat a little bit about that. Santa Claus, he's gone. To you better watch out. To you better watch out. You better not cry. To mess around and find out, because Santa Claus, he actually takes down an assailant. Well, a thief. He takes down a thief in California, and I think it's a pretty funny story. So we've got so much to really cover. Harvard stands by their plagiarizing president, Claudine Gay. And I mean, Harvard, they've got double standard. You would assume that the nation's most prestigious university would hold people accountable when they do things or say things that not only are against their policy, but also abhorrent. Claudine Gay is an anti Semite. She refused to condemn the calls for genocide. She said that that was protected under the First Amendment, the calls for genocide against the Jewish people on college campuses, on her college campus. You would think the nation's most prestigious university would hold people accountable, but nope, that's not the case. Not for this very elite university known as Harvard, as they have just proved their double standards are de facto the only standards that they enforce. They have double standards. It's so true. Kyle Kashuv, look at it. Look at that case where he actually had his acceptance to Harvard rescinded. They took it away because they dug up an old text message he had with some pals when he was a preteen. He said the N word in this text messages when he was a preteen, and they took away his acceptance to Harvard. And I'm not saying, but if you're going to do this, if you're going to, that's your code of conduct. If you're going to follow the code of conduct in some instances, but not all instances, your standards are doubled. Okay, you've got double standards. Okay, I am live, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. You can see me there in studio. There's so much that I want to get to today, specifically this clip from this woman in her 30s. She realizes that she wants marriage, she wants kids, and she feels betrayed by feminism. I think it's an interesting story, and let's take a listen. Here we go.
Does I mean, for me, it's definitely started to feel hollow and meaningless. And, it's taken me to this point in my life to realize that that's not a life that's going to bring you happiness. I mean, and maybe it does for some people. I honestly have a hard time believing that. Uh, if I thought I would spend the rest of my life alone, if I didn't think that I would get married and have children, I would be devastated. So I don't know. It is such a me focused culture right now. It really is. And
This is an incredible clip. And I wanted to share that with you. She's a woman and she decided to swear off kids and marriage because of feminism or whatever it is. Feminism, it's really not feminism, it's anti woman. But she's upset, and she says there in that clip that I just played for you that she feels betrayed by the movement that has yet to put an end to this invisible patriarchy. Now, Melissa Persling, that's her name, she wrote this op-ed in the Business Insider, and she says this quote, "I'm 38, single, and recently realized I want a child, and I'm terrified I've missed my opportunity." She regrets it. She regrets feminism because feminism is a lie. As a woman, I do not understand how anyone in their right mind would fight to get into the workplace, as if not working is some sort of form of oppression, which just isn't true. Just because you're not working does not mean that that's some form of oppression and that you're not contributing to society and that you're oppressed because you can't contribute to society. That's why most women are not on the bandwagon, okay? Most women don't buy into this whole idea. If you want to work, great, that's fine. But a lot of women, most women don't buy into this whole, oh, if you're not working, you're somehow oppressed because you're not with everybody else working or with men, and you're really forcing women and men to compete in the same space. Anyway, so she regrets feminism. Uh, and this is also why, and it shouldn't surprise you when I say this, liberal women are they are the antidepressants, and this is just statistically true. There's been studies on this. Liberal women are on a ton more antidepressants than conservative women, and they're statistically just much more likely to be miserable. Okay, as it turns out, chasing that corporate ladder does not tend to give lifelong fulfillment and happiness when compared to starting a family. Okay. And to be honest with you, I don't think men really like it either, chasing that corporate ladder, but they do it because they're men. And unfortunately, if you really want to talk about oppression, the men are oppressed in some sort of way because they've got to climb that corporate ladder because there is still this societal understanding that men need to be the provider. And I think that's a good thing. And I think that men do get fulfillment from that. But if anybody's oppressed, it's men because they're constantly tasked with this, hey, you have to provide, 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 societal norm, which isn't a bad thing. I think that's a good thing that society places on men. But men tend to be chasing that corporate ladder, and they might not get that lifelong fulfillment. They're stuck in a cubicle all day, but they do it for their family. But anyway, so it's pretty dumb to pretend that being a stay-at-home mom, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she did not work a 9 to 5. But this is a de facto full-time job if you stay at home as a stay-at-home mom. That is a full-time job. Otherwise, women, get this, if you say it's not a full-time job, women wouldn't hire other women when they go back to work, or if they go to work, they hire other women to do the work for them in the household and to take care of the children if you have a family. So, but as long as we fight the patriarchy, right? As long as we fight that patriarchy, which I don't know, feminism, this movement, it has yet to take down this invisible patriarchy. When will the patriarchy crumble? So I've got to take a quick break here coming up in just a little bit, but I do want to get to this story. I got time for it. It's not breaking news that we've got a shortage of good teachers out there, qualified teachers educating our nation's kids. It's not breaking news. We know that a lot of these teachers suck, but at the very least, we would expect them to know basic facts of reproduction, right? We would know we would expect them to know basic facts of reproduction. Dogs, cats, rodents. These people, they know, or these things, the dogs, the cats, they know basic biology, but nope. We've got teachers out there who are not just dumber than dogs, but they're dumber than rodents because they don't know the biological differences. And honestly, it doesn't take much knowing to know what I'm about to tell you. You can't make this stuff up. A teacher failed a student in Seattle for answering a quiz, and his answer said that men can't get pregnant and men have penises. Okay, that's what the quiz asked it, the kid, the 10th grader, and he answered the quiz correctly. Uh, so here it is. I've got the article here. This is from the Post Millennial. A left wing public school history teacher gave a Seattle student a failing grade after he acknowledged that only women have the ability to conceive a child and only men have penises on a class quiz. So, this is what his answer says. So, these responses by the student came on a quiz entitled, quote, this is the name of the quiz, Understanding Gender and Sex, or Gender versus Sex, understanding the difference between the two. Included in the test were numerous true false questions, as well as questions with multiple choice responses. Now, the educator's subject of expertise here is teaching ethnic studies world history to 10th graders in the public school system, the Seattle public school system. So that's his area of expertise. Okay, he teaches ethnic studies world history to 10th graders. But the questions asked on the quiz reportedly included, so the questions that were asked were like this, when someone uses they them pronouns, what does that mean about their gender identity, question mark. And then there were true false ones, true false, transgender people are gay, true false. There was one question here that said only women can get pregnant. After the student marked true for his response, yes, only women can get pregnant, the teacher penalized him and maintained that the correct answer was actually false. This teacher, dumber than a rodent. Even rodents understand basic biology. But by claiming men can get pregnant, I think he means like this educator out of Seattle. I think he means like Stacy, who thinks she's a man and identifies as a man. She thinks she's Joe. So that's Stacy can get pregnant because she's biologically a female, but she identifies as a man. That's all an accurate statement, but you can't say that Stacy is a man. She can identify any which way she wants, but that doesn't make her a man. She's a biological woman who can get pregnant because only women can get pregnant. Okay, so for all of human history, until about 5 minutes ago when I told you about the story, everyone and their grandmas knew that half of the human species was capable of giving birth. But I guess this is now a controversial lie. It's a controversial lie to say that half of the human species, there's a specific half, women, are capable of giving birth. That's controversial now. And these people, they say that they're underpaid. These teachers say they're underpaid. What a total clown show. You just created a quiz and then you failed a student for answering the or answering the question correctly. A total clown show. Do you really do you think this will finally fix transphobia, teachers? This transphobia that has taken over, and I can't remember the numbers, but I know it's less than 20 or less than 30 or something like that, where that's the amount of trans people who died this past year. And then you break down those numbers even further and you're like, okay, how many people were killed in the name of transphobia or in the name of hate? None. All of the trans deaths that happen, it's either because of suicide or things like prostitution, and then uh they get killed by a pimp, they get killed by STDs or a disease of some kind. And this is just statistically true. And we're looking at a very, very small portion of the population. And then you look at the deaths for the year, and then it's even smaller. We're talking like maybe double digits, barely double digit deaths, which is sad. It's tragic. I'm not saying it's not sad. I'm not saying it's or not tragic, but transphobia taken over. Come on now. And these are the same people. These teachers are the same people who say they want to keep religion out of school. No, 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 no. The only time men can be trapped inside a woman's body is when they have yet to be born and they're still a baby or they're still a fetus. No doubt the same teacher here, the US history teacher or the ethnic studies world history teacher, my bad. No doubt that this teacher would be failing the students for saying facts like, "Oh, uh, this is a baby. A fetus is a baby." But I guess that's besides the point right now. The insanity did not stop there, though. According to the local news outlet there, the student was directed to not use the term straight to identify himself because that was so called offensive. I've got more on this story coming up in just a little bit, but I do also want to hit I've got this story about Santa Claus. He actually takes down a thief, and it's kind of funny to watch. You're going to want to watch it on the live stream, but the audio is pretty good too. 309-451-9299. You can always text me. I'm live in studio, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. I'll see you there. We're back in just about 5 minutes. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. If you're watching, go ahead and smash the like button. We're going to come back. We're going to continue our conversation here about the Seattle teacher. He was an ethnic, gosh, what is it? World history teacher. I don't know. But he's out of Seattle and he gave a student a failing grade after he acknowledged that only women can get pregnant in this test that he was taking. It was a true false question and it said only women can get pregnant. And he said that's true and this professor actually failed him. So this is an ethnic studies world history teacher. He teaches to 10th graders in the Seattle public school system. The guy is dumber than a rodent because even rats know biological differences. They're dumber than dogs, the teachers. They're dumber than rodents. And these are the same people who say they're underpaid. Smash that like button. We're back in just a second. For all of human history until about like 10 minutes ago when I was telling you guys about this story. Everyone and their grandmas, for all of human history, we've all known and we knew that half of the species, women, they're capable of giving birth. Okay, for all of human history, that has been a fact. Only women can get pregnant. But I guess that's a controversial lie now. It's now a controversial lie. Women uh can't get not only women can get pregnant, but men can get pregnant. There was a true false question on a quiz in Seattle, and the student answered true. Yes, only women can get pregnant. And then the teacher penalized him and maintained that the correct answer was actually false. What? So he's claiming men can get pregnant. They're dumber than rats. They're dumber than dogs. They're dumber than cats because guess what, folks? Rodents, cats, dogs, they all understand biological differences. They do. And I can't believe that this left wing public school history teacher gave a Seattle student a failing grade. And these teachers, they'll sit there and they'll scream, ah, we're underpaid, which is just not true. And it's a total clown show. It's a total clown show. Transphobia, it's not a thing. And I've told you this multiple times. Saying you're transphobic is not a terrible thing when you say I'm afraid of an ideology. Okay, there's people who they're afraid of the dark. They're afraid of spiders. These are irrational fears, in my opinion. When you look at things statistically, okay, when you look at the numbers, spiders don't kill people. The dark doesn't kill people. But yet people are afraid of those things. Now, the transgender ideology, if you subscribe to that ideology and if you are a worshiper of that ideology, there's things that happen to you that are concerning. I've told you multiple times when you look at the suicide statistics, and this is true, they are higher than that of the Jewish people in the Holocaust. And I hate doing the Holocaust comparison, but there's Jewish people in the Holocaust who would kill themselves to avoid these camps, to avoid the gas chambers, and they would actually kill themselves because that was a better death than going and suffocating in one of these gas chambers. And they'd kill themselves. What we're seeing in the trans community, what we're seeing with people who subscribe to this ideology and are trans ideologues, what we're seeing there in that community is that they kill themselves at a higher rate than that of the Jews in Auschwitz. Okay, the Jews in the gas chambers. Okay, to avoid the gas chambers, they're killing themselves at a much higher rate. That freaks me out. It scares me. And that's okay to say that. It's totally fine to say that because that's backed up by statistical evidence. So, yeah. And do you think that these teachers are finally fixing transphobia that has taken over society, taken over the country by issuing quiz questions that say only women can get pregnant and demanding the students answer false? Men can also get pregnant. So, the only time a man can be trapped inside a woman's body is when they have yet to be born and they're still a baby, they're still a fetus inside the woman's body. No doubt the same teacher failing the student for saying facts would likely also fail him for saying a fetus is a baby. But I guess that's besides the point right now. The insanity just doesn't stop there, folks. This teacher, according to a local news outlet, uh, also told the student that he could not use the term straight to identify himself. So his sexuality, this and that's how you know this isn't diversity, equity, and inclusion, because this student is straight and he says I'm straight, and that's how he identifies. But they say no, you can't identify that way. That's actually an offensive term. You can't identify as straight. What? And by the way, the only people who can create life are straight couples. Okay, so why are they even asking about who can get pregnant, since why do leftists even care who can get pregnant? Because they're not really interested. They have no interest in creating life. Oh, forgive me. I meant to say in creating a clump of cells, because they have no interest in creating life. They hate life because they call it a clump of cells. So why are these people even asking the question who can get pregnant? They don't even like life. They don't even like the fact that straight couples are the only people who can create life. But I just can't deal with the nonsense anymore. The lack of intelligence here from this individual, this teacher, the Seattle teacher. He's got me real peeved off this morning, folks, but it's it's infuriating to say the very least. I just can't with the nonsense. So the local news outlet further reported that many educators, many of them, called the student screwed up, and I'm not going to use the colorful language that the teachers used, but they called him screwed up and racist. And they said, "quote He's a product of the patriarchy that teaches young boys not to care about anything." Really, really. Oh, this is the only person in the school who cares about basic facts. I'm pretty sure the student is that basic facts that create life. That's all this student really cares about. He cares about the facts that create life, and these teachers should all be fired. They should be banned from even going near minors, because all they want to do is create chaos. They want to spread lies, and they want to destroy future generations. So, what I'm really concerned about, the real question here with this Seattle piece, with the Seattle story, the teacher who failed the kid on the quiz, who said that only women can get pregnant. My concern is how many students got this answer correct. How many students said, yes, that's false. Only women can get pregnant. I'd be curious. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but when we come back, Santa Claus, he went from you better watch out, you better not cry, to you mess around and you find out, because he took down a thief at a California mall. And I've got the clip here. It's pretty funny. You guys are going to want to come to the live stream if you want to watch Santa Claus take down these hooligans. The commentary is actually really funny too. So if you're on the radio, it'll be funny too. It'll be good too. But the live stream is pretty pretty cool to see this Santa take down these hooligans who were in the parking lot doing some holiday shopping of their own. They were shopping for something with four wheels and no monthly payments. They were looking to nab a car. So I'm back next. Good morning, friends. Hey, if you're watching, go ahead and smash the like button. We're going to come back. And did you guys hear LeBron James? He does this very disgraceful thing and he sits down during the national anthem. So, LeBron James completely disrespects America. He sits down during the national anthem. This was a game on Sunday. He was seen walking into the stadium and then he promptly takes a seat while the national anthem is being played. Wow. We've also got to talk a little bit about the Biden administration. They have now been accused of not inviting these hostages to the White House Hanukkah celebration. So, several family members of the American citizen hostages missing in Gaza had asked the White House to attend the Hanukkah reception tonight, but they did not receive invitations, which is just terrible. I'm back. Things to look forward to on the Morning Buzz. The Biden administration allegedly snubbed family members of American hostages who have been held captive by Hamas, and he's not allowing them to attend the White House's 800-person Hanukkah party. So, what? He's snubbing these family members of the American hostages. There's American citizen hostages missing in Gaza. And these family members asked the White House to attend this Hanukkah reception. It was last night. I think it was last night, December 12th, and they didn't receive any kind of invitations. And the Biden administration completely snubbed these people. Uh, Disgraceful, also disgraceful. LeBron James, he sits down during the American national anthem that's happened on Sunday. He angered a lot of people because he was seen walking into this stadium, the basketball star LeBron James. He walks into the stadium and then he promptly takes a seat while the national anthem is being played. Gosh. And then Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds. Now, I talked a little bit about the satanic altar yesterday. Now, this has already happened in the state of Illinois. This happened like 2 years ago. So now I was doing it where they've got Baphomet, which is like a gargoyle looking thing. It's a statue and it's in the Capitol. So Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds, she condemned the presence of this satanic altar to Baphomet, which is some sort of satanic deity. It's in the state capitol. And, this is like a holiday display, so it's a gargoyle looking thing, it's got a holiday wreath around it, it's black and red, and then it's got a pentagram in the middle of the wreath, and, Reynolds, she said in a press release, "I find the Satanic Temple's display in the Capitol absolutely objectionable." So, in a free society, the best response to objectionable speech is more speech. I encourage those of faith to join me today in praying over the Capitol and recognizing the nativity scene that will be on display, the true reason for the season. So, I don't know. Here's the thing. These people, they scream and screech. The teachers, the satanic temple, they'll sit there and they'll say, separation of church and state, separation of church and state. Here we have a pretty clear case of, hey, there should be separation of church and state. Although there's nowhere in the Constitution that says that, and I'm not arguing that today. But the leftists argue that. The leftists, the libertarian type folk, they'll say, "Oh, blah, 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 separation of church and state." And here we have somebody putting a satanic ritual, like it's a satanic altar in the state capitol. So good on Iowa governor. I figured that she would come out. It took her a little while to come out and condemn this. And I'm making note of that. And I figured she'd come out and say that, hey, this is objectionable speech. Uh, but she, took the stance that, hey, this is a free society. I encourage those of faith to join me today in praying over the Capitol and recognizing the nativity scene is there. So I can respect that. I do respect that, because the separation of church and state, I don't believe that. I think that you should be able to baptize kids in the kid in the bathroom sink at school if you want, because it's not separation from your religion. Okay, it's separation of. It doesn't mean that you stop practicing your faith in the workplace if you work at a public school or if you work in the state capitol. Your faith is not confined by the four walls of your church. Okay. Worship is not confined by the four walls in your church. Okay, that's not the way, God wanted it to be. I don't believe. I mean, the Bible says it. You need to worship outside of the 4 walls of your church, and you have to convert people outside of the 4 walls of your church, and, you can't do that without putting a nativity scene up at the state capitol, but, yeah, I can respect Kim Reynolds. I think that we should just remove it. I think we should just remove it, the satanic altar, because people don't understand how dangerous the satanic religion is. It's not just this, oh, it's just a harmless religion. No, this religion actually calls for the sacrifice of children, and they slit babies' throats on this altar that they've got up there. They're not doing that right now, but in when you look at history, that's what the Satanists did. They slit throats of babes on the altar of Baphomet. Okay, so good on Kim Reynolds for coming out and condemning that. I thought that was a pretty decent response. If I was the governor, I would go in there with a sledgehammer and I would break the Baphomet statue. I'm just saying. But I'm not the governor. So I did want to talk about this Santa Claus going from you better watch out to you better not cry. Now he's you better not mess around or you're going to find out, because Santa actually goes after these thieves. They're car thieves. They were in the parking lot at this California Target. And I've got this clip. I think it's really funny. I'm going to get to that. Plus, I do want to talk about this Harvard president. So, Harvard, they've got this president, and you would assume that the nation's most prestigious university would hold people accountable if they say things or do things that are against the policy at Harvard, but not only against the policy, but are abhorrent, are terrible. She actually said that it depends on the context when you're talking about the genocide of Jews. It might be acceptable and it might be protected by the First Amendment, calling for the genocide of Jews. Well, that's not the case. People are not going to be held accountable here. Harvard, I think they're standing by this Claudine Gay. There was intense backlash over her controversial comments about anti Semitism, and there's actually accusations of plagiarism. And although a probe that they conducted, there was a probe, and it found instances of inadequate citation in her academic writings, doesn't matter because Harvard is standing behind the president, the embattled president, Dr. Claudine Gay. So I'm going to be chatting a little bit about that here on The Buzz. You can always see me live in studio. That's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Also, there's this proud lesbian candidate. Now, he is a candidate for being a member of parliament. So this is in that silly country, the UK. But he accuses his opponent, oh my gosh, of transphobia. This is hard. To try to refer to these people as their biological sex and as their biological pronoun with their biological pronoun. But this proud lesbian candidate accuses her opponent of transphobia, dog whistling, gaslighting, you name it. So I'm going to be chatting a little bit about that here on the Buzz next as well. Good morning, friends. Thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. If you're watching, smash that like button right now. And I am going to be talking about this lesbian. So, this is a member of parliament race. And it's turned bitter because there's one candidate hurling accusations of transphobia, dog whistling, and gaslighting at her opponent. Now, I know this takes place in the UK, and who cares about the UK, but you're going to want to take the journey on this one, okay? You're going to want to take the journey on this one with me because it's kind of funny. And it's just weird. Her candidacy, it's actually a man. He's just a man in a wig. Melissa Poulton, I think that's how you say it. He's a member of the Green Party, and she announced her candidacy. Let's just call him a woman for now, and I'm going to say it ironically. Her candidacy against sitting member of parliament and Conservative Party deputy Rachel McLean. So Rachel McLean finds herself in hot water after dropping a tweet, uh, dropping X, an X tweet on her beautiful and brave opponent. She's so beautiful. She's so brave. This Melissa woman. It's a now deleted post, but Rachel reposted somebody referring to Melissa as a man who wears a wig and calls himself a proud lesbian. So she reposted that. Now it's deleted, but um, Melissa added a comment assuring voters that while the Green Party might not know what a woman is, uh, the people of Worcestershire and Romsgrove, I don't know my UK places, do. So it wasn't Rachel. It was so yeah, we're going to talk about this story. I've got to take a quick break, but we'll be right back, and we're going to talk about this member of parliament candidate and what she said to her opponent. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. And I know that this story takes place in the UK, and you're thinking to yourself, Cat, who cares about the UK? But believe me, you're going to want to take a journey on this one with me. There's this guy. who is dressed up in some sort of wig, and he calls himself a proud lesbian. So I'm going to refer to him as a her, just because I think it's ironic. But he's running, or she's running, as a member of parliament, and this race has kind of turned bitter because this candidate, who's a proud lesbian, and really it's just a guy who's in a wig, he starts hurling accusations at his opponent. And like I said, takes place in the UK, but we're going to dive into this a little bit deeper because Melissa is this proud lesbian, and she represents the Green Party, and recently announced her candidacy against a sitting member of parliament who is a member of the Conservative Party. The member of the Conservative Party, her name is Rachel. She's an actual woman. And Rachel finds herself in a little bit of hot water here because she calls out this candidate on Twitter, her brave and beautiful opponent, right? She calls her out on Twitter. And she actually reposts it. It wasn't even like an original tweet from her, Rachel, but she reposted somebody referring to Melissa as a man who dresses in a wig and calls himself a proud lesbian. So Melissa did not appreciate the attack on her identity, so she responded in kind during an interview on BBC. I just think it's so funny that he just hurls out these accusations of transphobia, of gaslighting, of dog whistling, and we're going to get to that here in just a little bit. But also, Fox News, Harvard's highest governing body, is standing by the embattled president, Dr. Claudine Gay, following intense backlash to a controversial comment that she made about anti Semitism and accusations of plagiarism. So they are standing behind this woman despite there being a probe out there. This probe found that there were actual instances of inadequate citation in her academic writing. So she's a plagiarist. And get this, she made controversial comments about anti Semitism and about how calling for the genocide of Jews is actually covered under the First Amendment. That was with Elise Stefanik, the congresswoman, and how she was grilling a lot of these elite university presidents during a hearing. Now, I've got that story here coming up next. You're listening to the Morning Buzz. A quick housekeeping note: be sure to head to cities929.com where you can register for your Show Us Your Game. It is a $100 gift card to Quinn School's Taxidermy, and you get a deer processing from Bloomington Meats. We've teamed up with Bloomington Meats and Quinn School's Taxidermy for Show Us Your Game 2023. All you have to do is register by submitting a picture of your game this season, and you'll be in the running to win that free deer processing from Bloomington Meats and a $100 gift card from Quinn School's Taxidermy. We're going to pick the winner on December 29th. Go there today, cities929.com. Good morning, folks. If you're watching, go ahead and smash the like button. We're going to be back in just a moment. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. Like I said, we're going to be talking about, and admittedly, I am not well versed in the intricacies of the UK Parliament system. However, we we do strive every day for tolerance and other gay stuff like inclusion. And this brave, beautiful community campaigner is just trying to shatter the glass ceiling, okay, by becoming the first proud lesbian trans MP, and I wish her well on all of her future endeavors, this, Melissa woman. So, we're gonna be back a little bit here. There was an interview on BBC. This Melissa character, he's a man in a wig. Okay, he's a man in a wig. He says he's a proud lesbian, and he took shots at this, opponent of his, and, the opponent just retweeted something, which was kind of funny, and, it's a now deleted tweet, but, um I will be right back. You are listening to the Morning Buzz. Smash the like button. Well, this is disturbing. So, this is a story out of Illinois. An elementary teacher says you can't line up the students by boys and girls because some students might not identify with either. So, I actually know that this goes on at least at District 87. Now, I've had several teachers come up to me and say that there are clear instructions given to them by the IEA, by the BEA, that instruct the teachers here locally to do this same thing. So, this elementary teacher in Illinois is it's based out of Chicago. About it's a district out of Chicago and the Chicago area, and he's on TikTok and he's saying that, "Hey, I don't line my students up by boys or girls." So when you're a kid in kindergarten, right? I remember this when I was in kindergarten, there would be a boys line to the bathroom and a girls line to the bathroom, and the teacher would separate us by boys and girls. Why are 10-year-olds identifying as non-binary or gender fluid in schools? Teachers like this enable gender confusion in kids. They're the reason why the kids are confused. So I want to share this with you because this is just to give you an idea of what goes on in your local school district. And I promise you, it's not just a Chicago area school. This is going on in Bloomington District 87 and Normal. I'm sure of it that there's teachers out there who refuse to line up their kids by boys and girls. Let's take a listen here. He goes by he, him pronouns, by the way. I know that's crucial for this guy. So here we go.
Teachers, make your classroom LGBTQ plus inclusive from the very first day. This is tip number 8, so go back to my profile for other tips. I talked about assessing your language in another tip, but this one's all about like classroom practice. Are you lining up your students into boy and girl lines? Remember, when you do that, if a kid doesn't particularly identify strongly with either of those, it makes them have to kind of choose something that isn't true to them. So find other ways to line up or group your kids. It could be by their student numbers, it could be by their birthday months. Get creative, have fun with it, and you don't need to always center gender in your classroom. Teachers, make your class.
Ugh. So wait, I think this guy here is suggesting that he assigns numbers to his children in the classroom. I don't know how this guy is able to be around minor children, but okay. So I guess he assigns a number to the child, and that's how he kind of organizes or categorizes the children, and to avoid having a gender centric organization system where you have a boys line or a girls line, or he said he suggests age or birthday. It's just like, wait a second, what if the kid doesn't identify as an 11-year-old? I know when I was 12, 13 years old, I wanted to be 20. you know like, I say I identify as a 20-year-old when I'm 11 years old? I just don't understand it. So now we're kind of dehumanizing kids by giving them numbers and not even calling them boys or girls in the classroom. This is so dehumanizing and it's disturbing that actually happened here in the state of Illinois, and that guy continues to teach young children, and we're talking 10 years old. Okay. Um, Before we took the break, I was telling you guys a little bit about Santa Claus. Now, Santa Claus went from "you better watch out, you better not cry" to "if you mess around, you're gonna find out." So this Santa Claus this story is really really funny. So now we go to a California mall. Lots of customers were inside getting their holiday shopping on. I'm sure you're going to be holiday shopping. I have not gotten any of my shopping done. But a lot of people were inside this mall. They were getting their holiday shopping on. And unbeknownst to them, there were three hooligans that were out in the parking lot doing some holiday shopping of their own, something with four wheels and no monthly payments. Okay, they were looking to steal a car, these three hooligans. That's when they discovered that they were about to have a very, very, very bad day. And this mall is actually being patrolled by Saint Nick and his trusty sidekick. I'm going to call him Tinseltoes. Tinseltoes, it's an elf. He's an elf. The elf Tinseltoes appears to actually have a CCL, a concealed carry license. This is a pretty funny clip. You guys can watch it on the YouTube stream. This is it's pretty funny. I highly recommend you go to the stream right now to watch it, but the audio is pretty funny too. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
He's way back. Get him, Santa! Undercover police officers with the Riverside Police Department busting a suspected car thief.
Oh, that is hilarious. Oh, that is so good. Yeah, so before the Grinch fact checkers fact check me on this story and they get their hands on this story, I can't confirm the elf's name. I don't know who the elf is, but I came up with the name Tinseltoes. Tinseltoes because I thought it sounded magical. Come on, have some holiday spirit. Come on, Grinchy fact checkers. You got to have some Christmas spirit. But a local NBC affiliate, they were out there, and there was more to this 2020 Santa Claus and Companion uh, than met the eye. Okay, so there's more to this Santa Claus and this elf taking down this assailant or this thief than meets the eye. So Detective Paul Miranda is actually one of these police officers working undercover, and they found he was working undercover last week at this Target in this Cannon Spring shopping center. So it's like a shopping center. It's like an outdoor mall kind of. And here's what the detective said. He goes, "We worked inside the store, identified shoplifters, and when they spilled the scene, Santa was there to take them into custody." So there was some shoplifters, they go out of the Target, and then Santa's there undercover. And he's a detective, and he's got a trusty sidekick elf, an officer who I'm calling Tinseltoes, and they both jumped into action when this detective spotted the car being stolen from the parking lot. And these two undercover officers who were dressed up as Santa and an elf, they they jumped into action when Detective Paul Miranda says, "Hey, he's stealing a car. He's stealing a car." And then there's this true hero in this film or in this video here. He gets it all on tape. He goes, "Get him, Santa, get him!" from his smartphone. He's from behind his trusty smartphone. And had it not been from him or been for him, we probably wouldn't get this story, and this story probably wouldn't have taken place because this was all an undercover operation. But to see Santa suplex a perp, it just puts a smile on your face. And I find joy in the small things, in the little things during the Christmas season, whether that's a cup of cocoa or a video of Santa Claus completely suplexing this perp. All of it puts a smile on my face. So this is a really funny story where there was actually undercover detectives, um, and they were dressed up as Santa Claus, and they would identify the thieves inside of the Target or inside of the shopping mall here. And then once they identify the thief, they let Detective Paul Miranda know, who is outside of the shopping mall. And in this instance, we had Detective Paul Miranda. He goes, "Oh, this guy's stealing a car now in the parking lot." And then the other two men from inside of the store, so the guy dressed up as Santa Claus and the guy dressed up as Tinseltoes the elf, they come out and they start running to go assist Detective Paul Miranda. So that's a pretty funny story. All right, I do want to get to this story. If you're watching, smash the like button, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's Cat Peterson 929. A quick thing about Christmas, Santa Claus, speaking about Santa, not only does he suplex perps, but he's making calls from our studio. So you are going to want to go register your child to get a phone call from Saint Nick himself. He's going to be making some personalized calls here from from Cities 92.9. Tax and Accounting Plus, we are bringing you the magic of Christmas. We let Santa come in here and make phone calls to kids. I don't know what the hell's wrong with his phone, but I guess he comes in here and uses our phone. All you have to do is fill out a form on our website, that's cities929.com, for a chance to have your kid receive a phone call from Santa. Register now for your guaranteed call. Santa will be here in studio making calls on Mondays and Wednesdays of every week from 5 to 6, so you can register for your call. Merry Christmas from Tax and Accounting Plus in Cities 92.9. Okay. So this MP race, it's a member of parliament race, and I'm gonna admittedly just say right now, I'm not well versed in the intricacies of the UK parliament system, but I do want to bring you this story, and I know it takes place in the UK, and you're like, who cares about the UK? Believe me, you are going to want to stick around for this one, because this candidate uh, has now turned bitter and is hurling accusations of transphobia, dog whistling, and gaslighting at her opponent. Her opponent. Her. Uh, but this woman, Melissa Poulton is her name, and she represents the Green Party and recently announced her candidacy against a sitting member of parliament. And this sitting member of parliament, her name is Rachel, and she is a member of the Conservative Party. So she actually announced her run against a member of the Conservative Party for parliament. Now, Rachel, she is now finding herself in hot water because she actually dropped a tweet, and this tweet offended the brave and beautiful opponent of hers, Melissa. So this is a now deleted X post, but Rachel, she reposted somebody else referring to Melissa as, quote, a man who wears a wig and calls himself a proud lesbian. So Melissa, who's running as this candidate for the Green Party, he's not a woman at all. Okay, he wears a wig. He's not even trying to look like a woman. I mean, and you're going to see that here in this clip if you're on the live stream. But Melissa, he says that he didn't appreciate the attack on her identity, so she responded in kind during an interview on BBC without a shadow of doubt. This is a transphobic comment. So that's what Melissa says. That's what he says. And I'm referring to him as her. In some instances, it's hard to keep up, but you are going to see that this guy does not look like a woman at all. This is a straight up man who wears a wig, and the wig is not even on correctly. It doesn't look good. Here we go. Let's take a listen to the interview on BBC.
Without shadow of a doubt, it is a transphobic comment. It's dog whistling. At the finest, you know, it's gaslighting, it's everything. By attacking a minority group, is just, yeah, you know, it's a shame. Without a shadow of a doubt, it is a transphobic
Without a
comment.
shadow
It's
of
dog
the
whistling.
doubt, without a shadow of doubt, this is a transphobic comment. I think the accent just makes it even more funny. But
Transphobic
here we
behavior on
go.
social media.
Another clip. This is I think it's GBN. They're reporting on this, and let's take a listen. Here we go.
Time for the week in trans. Now, an MP has been under fire this week after posting a controversial tweet. Redditch MP Rachel McLean has been accused of transphobic behaviour on social media haven't we all? After liking a post on X claiming her trans political opponent, who you can see now, is called Melissa Poulton,
not funny,
might not
Leo.
have been born with that name, it's not funny, is just a man who wears a wig. She then shared the post and replied saying, while the Greens don't know what a woman is, my Worcestershire neighbours, the people of Bromsgrove, certainly do. Well, since then, Rachel has apologised and deleted the comment. Quite right. Melissa Poulton is just as much of a woman as you or me, Rachel. Cressida, is Rachel right to apologise?
No, Rachel never apologised. When are we going to learn? Apologies don't work, do they? It just makes it go on longer.
Yeah, don't apologize. I don't know why this woman, she is a current member of the parliament. Like I said, I don't know the system or anything like that. I don't know the intricacies of parliament and how it works, but you know, I strive every day for tolerance and inclusion and gay stuff like that. Yeah. If this brave and beautiful woman, Melissa, this community campaigner, is trying to shatter the glass ceiling here by becoming the first proud lesbian trans MP, I wish her well. I wish her well in all of her future endeavors. Okay. I would never be transphobic. I'm going to be very inclusive. I wish her well because she's so brave and she's so beautiful. Guys, they're not. It's not. It's not even. He doesn't pass as a woman at all. He's got a wig on. That's it, and it's kind of like lopsided. It's just such a joke, but. You would assume that this nation's most prestigious university, and I am going to get to this, you would assume that people would be held accountable, but that's not the case here because Harvard, the elite university governing body here, the highest governing body in Harvard, they actually are standing behind this Dr. Claudine Gay. I'm going to talk about it here coming up on the Buzz. Cities 92.9. You can always text in at 309-451-9299. I'm back in just a little bit. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. If you're watching, smash the like button. We're going to come back. I got this text I want to read. It's in regards to the story this morning. LeBron James going in to the stadium and then promptly sitting his happy ass down on the seat while the national anthem is playing is disturbing. I'm back next. I know it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. LeBron James, he sits down during during the American national anthem. This isn't the first time that James has disrespected really our national anthem, but LeBron James, basketball star, he angered a lot of people on Sunday after he was seen walking into the stadium and then promptly taking a seat while the national anthem played. And I I've got this text message here, and you're so right. It's disgusting. Pro sports figures bash this country, the same country that allowed them to become millionaires, multimillionaires, by not working but playing a game. Exactly why I don't watch sports. Wow. Thanks so much for texting in. You're so right. Uh, really, LeBron James, he's a disturbed individual. I could go on. There's this story. It's called, or it's Ethan Liming. Now name might sound familiar because we've talked a lot about him. He was actually beaten. He was shooting like these little Nerf pellets. They're kind of like water pellets. He was shooting at these people who were playing at the LeBron James school. It's in Akron, Ohio, and he's a white kid, Ethan Liming. He was just a teenager, I think at the time, might have been like 17 or something like that. And he was shooting these kids who were playing basketball black with this gun. And I get it. Yeah, you were playing a prank on them. And I understand, maybe the people who were playing the basketball game, these criminals, which I don't believe. I'd have to go look at their charges. I think it got pled down to like manslaughter or something. But uh, Ethan, he's a white kid and he's at the LeBron James school. He goes and he shoots these people playing basketball at this basketball court and this school. It's Akron, Ohio. He shoots him and then he promptly gets beaten to death and they stomp his chest in. They stomp on his chest and they kill him. He's dead. And they beat him senseless to death because he shot them with like little Orby, like Nerf bullet type things. And yeah, LeBron, he has not come out in support of this family of Ethan Liming and his family. He has not condemned the fact that the prosecutors aren't going after these boys who beat him senselessly and beat him until, I mean, overkill. I mean, I think that it was post mortem even when they stomped on his chest. LeBron James is a terrible human being. So him sitting down for the national anthem just is like just a small fraction of how terrible he is truly, because that's his school. And, he claims to be like, oh, I'm going to stand in solidarity with victims and with those who are oppressed and blah, blah, blah. But when it comes down to it, he is silent. This should have never happened at his school. Don't know how the kids were unsupervised playing at the school there, and don't know how this happened to Ethan. But LeBron really should come out and condemn the people who stomped his chest in post mortem. Okay, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about Joe Biden this morning because this just in, it turns out that Joe Biden is now being accused of snubbing the hostage families from the White House Hanukkah celebration. So several family members of the American citizen hostages who are missing in Gaza, by the way. They asked to go to the White House to attend the Hanukkah reception last night, and they didn't receive any kind of invitation. So the Biden administration allegedly snubbed family members of American hostages held in captivity by Hamas, and they're not allowing them, the Biden administration is not allowing them to attend the White House 800-person Hanukkah party. It's disturbing. Joe Biden's White House denied invitation to um, these families of 8 Americans who are still held hostage in Gaza. We'll get to that story here coming up in just a little bit. But when we come back, I do want to talk about the Harvard University president. They're standing by her, even though she's plagiarized and she also said very anti Semitic things. We're going to get to that story. And I do have another one that I want to chat about. This woman she decided to swear off kids into marriage because of feminism. And now she feels betrayed by the movement, the same movement, folks, I mind you, that has yet to put an end to the invisible patriarchy, but she is regretting feminism. She's regretting the movement. She's 38, she's single, and she realized she wants to have a child, but she says this: I'm terrified I've missed my opportunity. We're going to chat about it because she posted an op-ed recently in the Business Insider. It was picked up by Fox News. Then we'll get to the Seattle student who failed a quiz for saying men can't get pregnant. Even though men can't get pregnant, he failed a quiz. And he's a Seattle student. And I'm sorry, I know this is going to be tough for you to hear, but most teachers, they're dumber than dogs. They're dumber than rodents. And the reason why I say that is because rodents and dogs, they even know the biological differences. And there's not much, it doesn't take much knowing to know what I'm about to tell you here with this story. But that's next on the Buzz. Cities 92.9. I'm back later. Good morning, disgraceful LeBron James sitting down during the American national anthem. Now, this isn't the first time LeBron James has disrespected the national anthem. He has sat down before. He has knelt before. This is a basketball star, LeBron James. He angered a lot of people on Sunday after he was seen walking into the stadium, and then he promptly takes a seat while the national anthem is played. Now he's a social justice warrior, right? And I think he pledged during the summer of love in 2020, he pledged all kinds of money. I think it was like close to $10 million to social justice warrior organizations. And um, what's really disturbing here is LeBron James. People are going to be outraged. They're going to say that this is disrespectful, blah, yada yada yada, peanut butter, right? That this is disrespectful. You know what I find really disrespectful? What's even worse, and believe me, sitting down for the national anthem is disrespectful. It's disgraceful. I think it's terrible, especially considering you're a multimillionaire and you play a game for a living. Okay, you play a game. And this is the country that affords you to do that. You get to make millions playing a game that you love. Okay, LeBron. But people will remember this. And for some odd reason, they don't remember the story of Ethan Liming. This was just recently, I think it was September 25th, they were found guilty of aggravated assault. These two guys, Deshaun and Tyler Stafford, they're Akron, Ohio brothers. They were convicted in connection with the death of a 17-year-old boy. He was an Akron boy outside of the I Promise School. Now, I Promise School is LeBron James School. Okay, that's a school that he founded, and it's his school. It's the LeBron James School in Akron, Ohio. Now, these guys were found guilty of assault, and I know you're looking at your radio and you're like, wait, they were found guilty of assault, but they were convicted in connection with the death of a young boy, 17 years old, Ethan Liming. Yeah, you heard that right. So Deshaun, he got an 18-month sentence, and the other boy, I think he also got like 18 months or something, or 6 month sentence. That's what he got. He got 6 months. So Deshaun and Tyler, between the two of them, they barely got like they didn't even get 3 years. And Akron police said that Ethan Liming, he was actually attacked outside of LeBron James School after uh, shooting them, or after shooting the Akron brothers here, Tyler and Deshaun, with a splatter gun. So this is similar to a Nerf gun. It's got like those little gel pellets in it. And he was just playing around. It was June 2nd, 2022. Ethan was playing around. He shot them. And yeah, I don't know exactly what happened, what led up to this. He maybe shot them with this splatter gun and it peeved off Tyler and Deshaun. And that's what led them to beat him brutally, I guess. So he died of blunt force trauma to the head. They struck him in the head, and then he hit the ground. Um, and the autopsy, it's really disturbing. There was a shoe print on his chest. And I mean, it's probably one of the most tragic stories I've ever brought to you on the Morning Buzz. And I remember covering this very closely because it was LeBron James School, and Ethan Liming. He didn't get any justice. I just told you that these guys who killed him and post mortem stomped all over his chest, stomped on his chest with their shoes like he was a dog. I just told you that they're not even gonna get 2 years, 3 years. They killed a boy. They killed him, okay? And they were older than he was. I mean, I think they were found guilty age 20, 19. I think they were at the age of 18. Yeah, they would have been over the age of 18. They should have been tried as adults, and they should have been tried for at least manslaughter. Now, the jury couldn't convict or couldn't reach a verdict on the first count of involuntary manslaughter, so that was declared a mistrial. Then there was an involuntary manslaughter. The prosecutor, they pled it down to manslaughter. I think originally the charges were like murder, uh, but here we go. They're going to be serving just months in jail for killing a kid. These two animals, and LeBron James completely silent. He issued maybe I think he had one tweet out there about LeBron or about Ethan Liming, and he said, pray for the family. Where's the $10 million for Ethan Liming's family? Where's the social justice? Shouldn't you be calling for the social justice and for the justice against Deshaun and Tyler? Oh, wait, they're black and Ethan was white and it doesn't fit the narrative. So that's why you're not calling for the convictions and for the murder conviction of Deshaun and Tyler. So, yes, people are going to be peeved off about LeBron James this morning, about the fact that he didn't sit down for the national anthem. When you look at who LeBron is, like, when you look at who he truly is as a person, and you look at this story when it comes to Ethan Liming, it shouldn't shock you that he doesn't stand up for the national anthem. He's a scumbag, and he's a thug. He didn't even stand up. You're gonna stand up for George Floyd when he died of a fentanyl overdose, and that's clear by the autopsy? You're gonna stand up for that guy? He put a gun to a woman's pregnant belly? That's George Floyd for you. Then you're not gonna stand up for Ethan Liming, who was a 17-year-old kid who was just messing around and squirted some guys with a splatter gun? And then he had his chest stomped in post-mortem? Come on. Anyway, so I gotta talk about this, the Harvard University professor or president. I want to get to this story today because I just can't believe it. So you would assume that the nation's most prestigious university would hold people accountable for the things they do, for the things they say, especially if those things are against the policy of the university. Not only that, they're against the policy of the university, but they're also abhorrent. Well, that's not the case when we look at this elite university president here and this elite university known as Harvard. Okay, so Harvard, they just proved that they have double standards, and de facto, those are the only standards they enforce. So I talked about Kyle Kashuv. He was a young kid, preteen, and he was, shooting some text messages back and forth with some friends, and he used the N word. And I'm not saying that's good, and it's definitely against Harvard's code of conduct. And because it's against their code of conduct, they took away his acceptance. Now, mind you, they accepted him into Harvard, obviously, much later after the fact that he sent those text messages. They dug up those text messages and they rescinded his acceptance letter. But now, here in this case, we've got Dr. Claudine Gay and Harvard's highest governing body. This is per Fox News. They're standing by the embattled president following intense backlash to the controversial comments about anti-Semitism and accusations of plagiarism. So there's a whole nother layer to this because I guess Gay, there was a probe and it actually found out that she had inadequate citations in her academic writings. So here we go. Here's the statement. As members of the Harvard Corporation, we today reaffirm our support of President Gay's continued leadership at the Harvard University. Our extensive deliberations affirm our confidence that President Gay is the right leader to help our community heal and to address the very serious societal issues we're facing. The statement goes on. So many people have suffered tremendous damage and pain, okay, due to Hamas's brutal terrorist attack, and the university's initial statement should have been an immediate, direct, and unequivocal condemnation of this. Okay, so of this comments that she made about anti-Semitism, or about really the calling for genocide of Jews, that is actually protected under the First Amendment, according to President Gay in these congressional hearings, where Elise Stefanik, she actually pressed President Gay about this and if those were aligned with the code of conduct. Now, the statement goes on. It says calls for genocide are despicable and contrary to fundamental human values. President Gay has apologized, and she handled her congressional, or how she handled her congressional testimony, and has committed to redoubling the university's fight against anti-Semitism. You see, I don't know. I don't know if her apology means a whole lot because I mean, you said the calling for genocide against Jews was protected and it aligned with your code of conduct. So the statement from the very prestigious university comes after Gay said the context matters regarding its policy in calling for the genocide of Jews. Her reprehensible statements are not the only thing that have people questioning her integrity, by the way. She also has some issues with her academic writing. She did not accurately, she's a plagiarist. Okay. I've got more on this story. I do have to take a break, but when we come back, I'm going to talk about her plagiarism. And then a little bit later, we will get to this story: a Seattle student failing a quiz for saying men can't get pregnant, even though, let me check my notes here. Yep, men can't get pregnant. So he fails the quiz for saying men can't get pregnant, even though men can't get pregnant. These teachers are dumb. I'm back next. So, Claudine Gay, she's the president of Harvard. She made some really reprehensible statements, and that's not the only thing that have got people questioning her integrity here. So, according to Fox News, I've got it. I've got the story. This is the Morning Buzz. Kat Peterson. Be sure to find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, the controversial testimony at the House of Education and Workforce Committee hearing isn't the only thing keeping Gay in the spotlight. There's reports about her academic writings where she didn't have the proper citation. She's a plagiarist. So, with regard to President Gay's academic writings, this is according to the statement from Harvard, the university became aware in late October of allegations regarding 3 articles. At President Gay's request, uh, they initiated an independent review by distinguished political scientists and conducted a review of her published work. Now, on December 9th of this year, um, they reviewed those results of this independent review, and it revealed instances of inadequate citation, which means she's a plagiarist. While the analysis found no violation of Harvard standards for research misconduct, President Gay is proactively requesting 4 corrections in her 2 articles to insert citations and quotation marks that were omitted from her original publications. So she's plagiarizing, and she's trying to say that some work, some research, she did it all on her own. You know, how many students do you think got punished for doing the same thing just one time? How many students do you think? Not only that, but suffered much more consequences than just being told to add quotation marks. So this woman needs consequences. It's not fair. And this is one of the nation's most prestigious universities. You'd think that they would hold people accountable, but they're not. They're just saying, throw some quotation marks in there. It's just terrible. The left screams over and over again about white privilege and the patriarchy. What is de facto happening is the exact opposite. Harvard is complacent about all of that. And not only in the things mentioned that I've mentioned so far with this story, but also their racial discrimination against Asians. Okay, they are racially discriminating against Asians, affirmative action, blah blah blah. Um, this bothers me a lot because I told you about Kyle Kashuv. Kyle Kashuv, Harvard, they rescinded his acceptance to Harvard because they dug up some old text messages from when he was a preteen, between he and his buddies where he used the N word. Not saying that's good, but then they canned him. They said, "Nope, you're not going to be accepted into Harvard anymore." But then we've got double standards here. Here's this woman, she actually calls for the genocide of Jews. Essentially, she says that it depends on the context, and it might, be within the First Amendment. It might be protected by. There has to be context around it, and it's just reprehensible comments she made. And she's not being held accountable for that. She's also not being held accountable for her plagiarism. Could you imagine if a Kyle Kashuv plagiarized? What would happen to him? What's happening here is the opposite. There is no such thing as white privilege or the patriarchy. This woman, because she is black, gets away with everything, and that's not right. That's not fair. That's not equality. That's not diversity. That's not equity. Not to mention affirmative action and how it racially discriminates against Asian people. So what's bothering what is bothering me is not just that there are passages she didn't put in quotation marks. When I look at her work, I feel like her whole research agenda, her whole career was based on my work. And that bothers me. It bothers me because I know that my work was a big deal in the early 1990s, and I started falling out of favor in 1995 when I started criticizing race-based affirmative action. So this was actually a quote from whom she stole uh, some passages, and she didn't use quotation marks. So the plagiarizing this work actually hurt somebody. The facts speak for themselves. Her testimony reprehensible, and she's guilty of other accusations when it comes to this plagiarism thing. The best thing for Gay to do in this situation is to resign. I really think she just needs to resign with at least a bit of the least bit of integrity that may be left in her. But I guess Harvard is standing by this Claudine Gay woman. Out of all of the hills for Harvard to die on, this is definitely not the one I would have chosen. All right, I'm back in the 8 o'clock hour next. right. Thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. If you're watching, go ahead and smash the like button. We're going to come back and you won't want to miss it. It's the story that I regret even pulling for you this morning, but it's a Seattle student, and the Seattle student fails a quiz. And I wouldn't be shocked if this quiz is issued to your, 10th grader every day. Um, some 10th grader has to answer this question: can men get pregnant? And they're faced with the true or false question. And this teacher actually fails the Seattle student for answering the question and saying that men can't get pregnant. But men can't get pregnant. Men can't get pregnant. Men can't get pregnant, right? Uh, but this teacher is convinced that men can get pregnant and fails the student for answering the quiz question wrong. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, a woman is swearing off kids and marriage. She swore off kids and marriage, and she said it was because of feminism or something like that. And now she's upset and she feels betrayed by the movement. And mind you, this movement has yet to put an end to the invisible patriarchy, by the way. But we're going to talk about it because I think that it's kind of a sad story, but it's definitely worth a watch and worth a listen. The clip that I'll play here for you. You're listening to the Morning Buzz. Smash the like button, share this out with your friends. We're back. Wow! A woman, she has decided to swear off kids and marriage, and it's because of feminism, and now she's upset because she feels like she was betrayed by the movement. And mind you, this is the movement, the feminism movement. It's the same movement that has yet to put an end to the patriarchy, to this invisible patriarchy. So we're going to chat about that. The clip is definitely worth a watch. You can see it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. I'm live this morning in studio. I'm live every morning. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel by going to Cat Peterson 929. We're going to get to that story. Plus, a Seattle student failing a quiz for saying men can't get pregnant, even though men can't get pregnant. Santa Claus, he went from "you better watch out, you better not cry" to "you better not mess around, or you're gonna find out." Santa Claus, an undercover cop dressed as Santa Claus, actually took down a couple of thieves, a few hooligans in the parking lot of a Target, with his trusty sidekick, and elf, Mr. Tinseltoes. So we're gonna talk about that because I got the clip and it's a pretty funny clip. It's gone viral. You're tuned in to the Morning Buzz. Quick housekeeping note: this is a really, really great cause. It's called Support Our Seniors. We do it every year. We're bringing Christmas joy to those in long-term care facilities. We do this every year. We're gonna get gifts, and we're gonna bring those gifts to the McLean County Nursing Home. The due date, folks, for your donations, for you to drop them off at Great Plains Media, 108 Boykins Place, is December 21st, and that's gonna be sneaking up on us. So donations, they're gonna be collected through the holiday season. If you are a business owner and you want to get in on this, uh, to support our seniors, and you wanna collect donations on behalf of your business, and if you want to collect donations, we'll pick up your donations. We bring you a box. People drop in, items like hairbrushes, combs, body washes. We've got puzzles, word search puzzles, and books, anything from our wish list item list that you can find on cities929.com. People will drop them off in your box at your local business. If you are interested in that as a local business owner, go ahead, contact me at 309-451-9299 and be a part of this. This is a really good thing that we do every year. Our mission is to brighten the days of our seniors. We started during COVID because it was tragic to see our seniors not get to be with family during the Christmas season because of COVID-19. So, go ahead, head to cities929.com. You can even make a monetary donation. You can make a monetary donation and, yeah. Uh, well, one thing that I wanna start with is this woman. She decided to swear off kids and marriage because of feminism, and her name is Melissa Persling. Now, she wrote this op-ed that I found in the Business Insider a couple of days ago, but then Fox News picked it up, and I was like, "Okay, we're gonna talk about this because me being a younger woman, I think I have a decent perspective on this. I think I understand what's going on here and how feminism is a lie. And I don't know how anybody in their right mind would fight to try to get into the workplace, climb the corporate ladder. And I don't understand how anybody in their right mind could sit there and say that not working is some sort of form of oppression. It's not a form of oppression. It's a lie. Lots of women uh, worked before they got the so-called right, by the way. So that's a lie as well. It's a lie that women weren't allowed to work. That never was really the case. The history is so wrong there. Now they got the right to work. Um, Now women have been working for generations, for hundreds of years, okay? They were always working because, I'm sorry, if you are a full-time stay-at-home mom and if you're a full-time homemaker, that is work, okay? That is de facto a full-time job. So women have always worked, okay? They've never not had the right to work, okay? Not recognizing that a full-time stay-at-home mom is work, is really sexist and misogynist, or sexist, I guess. So I want to play this clip. Here we go. Let's take a listen. And you can watch it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble.
I'm believing that. If I thought I would spend the rest of my life alone, if I didn't think that I would get married and have children, I would be devastated. So I don't know. It is such a me focused culture right now. It really is. And I just think a lot of us are missing out, and I certainly have felt like that the last year and a half. And I thank God that I realized it in time.
So there she is. She had an op-ed. She regrets feminism because of the lie. And I think it's pretty dumb to pretend that a full-time stay-at-home mom is not work. My mom, she was a full-time stay-at-home mom. Because guess what? When women go back to work, say they have their children and they go back to work, they actually hire a different woman to go in and do the work in the home. But as long as we fight the patriarchy, right? As long as we fight the patriarchy and we're climbing the corporate ladder, and look, it's very clear that this woman wanted a child, and now it might be too late for her to have a child because she swore off kids in marriage, and now she's 38, and yeah, um, it's tragic. Now, I do want to shift gears. I want to talk about this story. It's not breaking news that we have a shortage of qualified teachers and qualified teachers educating our nation's children. But at the very least, you would think that they would have a basic understanding of biology, right? The most basic facts of reproduction that even cats and dogs know. But nope, we've got teachers out there that are dumber than cats and dogs, and perhaps even dumber than rodents because rodents even understand biological differences. Honestly, it doesn't take much knowing to know what I'm about to tell you. You can't make this up. A teacher failed a student for not answering on a quiz that men can't get pregnant, and this student also answered that men have penises. So this left wing public school teacher gave a Seattle student a failing grade after he acknowledged that only women have the ability to conceive a child and only men have penises. This was on a class quiz. He teaches 10th graders, this teacher, and I mean, the responses by the student came on a quiz entitled, and I'm just going to name the quiz here. It says understanding gender versus sex. First of all, I don't even understand why this is in a history class. But it was in a history class where this quiz was issued as a test. It had a bunch of true false statements on it, a bunch of questions, multiple choice questions. And the educator, let me tell you about his expertise, okay? His expertise is teaching ethnic studies world history to 10th graders. That's where his expertise lies, and he's a part of the Seattle public school system. Now, questions on the quiz included things like, when someone uses they them pronouns, what does that mean about their gender identity? That was one question. Another question was a true false question. True or false? Transgender people are gay. Another question, true or false? Only women can get pregnant. Now, this student actually marked true. Only women can get pregnant. And the teacher actually penalized him and maintained that the correct answer was false. So disgusting. Now, I'm assuming, and I can't really, I mean, by claiming that men can get pregnant, I think what this teacher is implying is that, you know, a Stacy who thinks she's Joe, Stacy can get pregnant, but because she thinks she's Joe, she is Joe and she is a man, and it's not right to call her anything but a man. No, no, no. For all of human history until about, 5 minutes ago when I told you about this story, everyone and their grandmas knew that half of the human species is capable of giving birth. Uh, but I guess now that's a controversial lie. Apparently, that's just not true anymore. And half of the species, all of the species can give birth. And teachers, folks, they claim that they're underpaid, which is just totally not true. They're not underpaid when you break it down and when you look at their pay in comparison to the rest of the nation and to the rest of the state, they are paid actually very well, considering that they're paid very well. They sit there and they say women aren't or women not only women can get pregnant but men can get pregnant, and we're paying them for that. This is a total clown show. Do you think that this is finally going to fix transphobia? Having quizzes where we force children to answer questions and answer them incorrectly. Do you think that this is going to finally fix transphobia? And I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I'd have to go look and back at my other shows, but uh, I know it's less than 50. Less than 50 people, transgender people, die in this past year. And when you look at those deaths of transgender people, a lot of it is suicides. And some of it is getting into trouble when you prostitute yourself out. So a lot of people in the transgender community prostitute themselves out and they run into trouble like a pimp killing them, or they run into overdose deaths, or they have these they have these lifestyles that lead to death. And, transphobia, I'm not fearful of the people. I want to be clear about that. I'm not fearful of the people. I fear no man. Okay. I fear God, but I fear no man. I fear an ideology, however, that, uh, that breeds this kind of behavior and that causes transgender people to kill themselves at an alarming rate. Okay. And, like I said, it's not people going out there and hunting trans people down and shooting them in the face. That's not happening. Okay. At all. At all. Okay. It's not happening. And maybe one, maybe two instances in the entire year where you look at 50 people who identify as transgender died. Um, and I want to make this clear: these transgender or these teachers, these trans activists, because that's what they are. They're not teachers. They're not teaching anything. I just told you. They claim that they want to keep religion out of schools. This is a religion. Okay. The trans ideology, it's a religion, and it's a dangerous religion in that it gets people to kill themselves and it gets people to participate in things like prostitution and drug activity. That's how they're dying. Okay. You just look at the statistics here, folks. Look at the numbers and look at the facts. Now, the only time a man can be trapped in a woman's body is if that man has yet to be born and is still a fetus. No doubt the same teacher here that failed the student for saying facts would likely fail him for saying that a fetus is a baby. But anyway, that's besides the point. The insanity doesn't stop here, folks. Okay. Not only did this teacher fail this student, But the teacher also directed the student that he could not use the term straight to identify himself. So it's not about DEI, it's not about diversity, equity, inclusion. Sorry, Bloomington District 87. Sorry, Unit 5. It's not about DEI. It's all about making white kids feel bad, and specifically white straight kids feel bad. So he identifies himself as straight, and they said, no, you can't say you're straight because that's actually an offensive term. And the only people who are procreating, the only people who create are straight couples, by the way. So why even talk about who gets pregnant on your quiz? Because clearly, trans activist teacher, you have no interest in creating life. I'm sorry. Did I say life? I meant a clump of cells. Because we all know that the leftists, and these teacher activists, they think that it's a clump of cells. This is the same teacher who will say it's a clump of cells. And yeah, I just can't deal with the nonsense anymore. The lack of intelligence is infuriating. And these educators, they called the student, and I'm quoting here, screwed and racist. I can't say the other word. They called him something other than screwed, fudged, and racist. And they said he was a product of patriarchy, of the patriarchy, and teaches this patriarchy, I guess, teaches young boys to not care about anything, really. This is probably the only kid or the only student or person in that school who cares enough about basic facts that create life. He cares about the basic facts that men can't get pregnant, women can get pregnant, and these teachers, they need to be fired. They need to be banned from being near minors, because all they want to do is create chaos, they want to spread lies, and they want to destroy future generations. And you know what really concerns me? The real question we need to be asking ourselves, folks, 309-451-9299. What are your thoughts? How many of those kids got the answer correct? How many of those answers were true or false? Only women can get pregnant, and they answered the word false. I'm concerned about that. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but we'll be back on the other side. This is the Morning Buzz. I've got lots planned for you. One thing that I do want to get to this morning: Joe Biden, his administration, he is snubbing, allegedly, he's snubbing the hostage families from the White House, their Hanukkah celebration that they're having. And the Biden administration did not invite these families. I'm back with that story next. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. Go ahead, smash the like button, and let's go ahead and get to some of your comments. Communism plays on the feelings of those who cannot think for themselves. Anyone who has studied biology will tell you that these things rarely exist in binary nature. Oh, come on, Tim. Gender and sex are not binary. Oh, come on. You guys are the ones ignoring the facts and trying to insert your opinions. Oh no. Oh no. All right, we're gonna address it here coming up in just a little bit. Smash the like button if you're watching. Share this out with your normie friends. I'm back. Gosh, I hate it. It's too early in the morning to deal with this. Say good morning. This is the Morning Buzz, and we love it. We love reading the comments here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. We are going to be getting to this undercover Santa because this undercover Santa story is actually really funny. And if you aren't watching on the stream, I highly recommend you watch the video on the stream because Santa went from "you better not cry" or "you better not what" or "you better watch out, you better not cry." That's how the song goes. He went from that to "you better not mess around or you're going to find out," because Santa actually just suplexed this car thief. A couple of them. There were a few car thieves in California at this California mall. And there were lots of customers inside getting their holiday shopping on. And unbeknownst to them, these three hooligans, these shoppers, these three hooligans were out there looking for they were shopping on their own. They were doing some holiday shopping where they were looking for something with four wheels and no car payment. So no monthly payment. So they were looking to steal a car. And Saint Nick and his trusty sidekick, they were undercover cops, and they completely just suplexed these criminals. So I thought it was an amazing watch. But I do want to address this comment before we move on, from the Seattle kid being told, one, they told him that he couldn't identify as straight. Okay. And here is where your whole issue is. So this guy, his name's Tim, he says, anyone who studied biology will tell you that things rarely exist in a binary nature. Gender and sex are not binary. I thought that, okay. You guys are ignoring the facts and trying to insert your opinions. No, it's not my opinion that men can't get pregnant because men can't get pregnant. Only women can get pregnant. Okay. There are factual things um, and that exist in a binary. Okay. Hot and cold. The absence of heat is cold. Okay. And that there's a binary. There's hot and then there's cold. There's men and then there's women. Okay. There's just no changing that. And I always point to this example. If you don't believe that these things exist in a binary, just look at nature, look at something outside of the human. Look at male lions and female lions. Now, I'm not a biologist by any means, but I do know that lions, female lions, they have a specific job for the pride. They do a lot of the hunting or something like that. So they have a role for the pride. And male lions have a different role. A lot of the time, they mark territory. They protect the lioness, and they are kind of like the protector of the pride. So when you look at all kinds of things exist in a binary. Okay, we have opposites. We have, what's the opposite of sweet? Salty. I mean, we exist in a binary, and the reason why is because human beings, in order to understand the world, we've put things into a binary. There's good, there's evil. There is a binary out there, and you can point to literally anything, and there is an antithesis to it. There is an opposite to it. And I feel really bad with people with this outlook because you are existing in make believe land. That's really what it is, because to sit there and to try to tell me to my face that men can get pregnant is not only offensive, but it's also wrong. There's right and there's wrong. And I really feel for people who who have this outlook on life that that doesn't exist, that there is no right, there is no wrong. Okay, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, there 2 plus 2 does not equal 5. There are binaries, there are facts, and it's factual. I mean, look at the biology. People who've studied biology will tell you things rarely exist in a binary nature. Well, I know for a fact that women and men are in this binary nature because look at their hips. I mean, look at the science. The hips, the women have much larger hips and men have much smaller hips. Like literally look at the degree in their pelvis. You can see their skeletal bone structure is different, and there is a difference. I mean, 100 years from now, if we dig up my body, you're gonna find out that I'm a woman. Okay, when you look at my bones, they're female bones. So I just honestly feel bad for these people. And you're so right, Bob, on the YouTube stream. He says these people are re-educated. Yeah, they are living in in a world that is does not exist, and they've been re-educated and brainwashed, and it's kind of sad. Uh, I do want to talk about this because I think it's a funny story, and I want to hit it because it's a holiday story. Now, Santa Claus, he's out there at this California mall, and like I told you, these customers were wanting to kind of just do their holiday shopping. They were inside, and unbeknownst to them, some hooligans were out in the parking lot trying to steal their cars. Uh, they were trying to steal. They were doing some holiday shopping of their own. They were trying to take something with four wheels and no monthly payments. Okay, that's when they were discovered by Saint Nick and his trusty sidekick elf. I'll call him Tinseltoes, the elf Tinseltoes. He actually appears to be carrying, he has a CCL, it looks like, but he whips out a gun. It looks like some sort of pistol. But if you guys aren't watching on the stream, I recommend you watch this on the stream. But otherwise, I mean, the audio is also kind of funny as well. So let's take a listen. Here we go.
Get him, Santa!
Undercover police officers with the Riverside Police Department busting a suspected car thief.
Oh, that is so good. Get him, Santa! Get him! Now, before the Grinch fact checkers come out, I don't know the elf's name. I have no idea what the elf's name is. I call him Tinseltoes because it sounds magical. And come on, get in the Christmas spirit, okay? Now, this local NBC affiliate, there's more to this story than meets the eye. So there's this story behind it. So Detective Paul Miranda is outside. Now, this is Riverside, California. He's outside of the mall. Now, there's a Target. It's kind of like an outlet mall, I guess, but he's outside and he's working with police officers inside of the mall. And Detective Paul Miranda, he let Saint Nick and the trusty sidekick elf officer, he let them know that he had spotted these perps trying to break into cars and steal cars in the parking lot. So what Saint Nick and the trusty elf sidekick Tinseltoes did, they ran out and they suplexed this perp. And they're the real hero here though is the guy, just I'm assuming a bystander. He's got his trusty smartphone and he's sitting there and he's filming the whole thing and he says, "Get him, Santa, get him." Without that guy, I wouldn't have this story and this wouldn't have taken place. And whew, to be honest, seeing Santa suplex a perp for taking and trying to steal a car in California, um, puts a smile on my face, and I just find joy in the little things when it comes to the Christmas season. I enjoy a nice piping hot cup of cocoa, but I also enjoy watching a Santa Claus suplex a perp uh, who's trying to steal a car. So I like this comment here. Ryan on the YouTube stream. He goes, "We need more undercover Santas. Maybe kids would behave better." Yeah. Maybe we should put some undercover Santas in our public schools. And then they wouldn't beat up on each other all of the time. But okay, so we are going to be back. Next, I've got a story here for us. This proud lesbian candidate in the UK. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Kat from the UK? Yes, you are going to want to stick around for this one because this candidate who says that she's this proud lesbian accuses somebody of transphobia, dog whistling, gaslighting, and this race for she wants to be a member of parliament. So this race has kind of turned bitter pretty quickly after her opponent actually tweeted out something. So I'm going to be back with that story next. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand. Oh, there's these things rarely exist in binary in nature. And as you point out, RT, men do not have the hips to allow childbirth. It could rip them, rip their hips. Only females can have children without exception. Yes, there is no exception to that. And there's women who can have children, and there's men who cannot. And if you ask me, that is a binary. Um, there's men and then there's women. That's two things opposite of each other. So yeah, just like I'm drinking a hot cup of coffee today. Okay, I could have grabbed an iced coffee. There's two things. I mean, we exist in a binary. Okay, for everything there is an opposite. And that's just the way human psychology kind of works. That's just the way we're built. That's the way God designed us. Okay, um, when you look at a stop sign, um, it's red. We've associated red, the stop sign, with um, stopping, and we've associated green with go. Okay, we exist in a binary because it's for our own safety. It's for us to not exist in chaos and to be completely destroyed as the human race. And that's what's so problematic about this kind of line of thinking. When you don't exist in a binary, you're opening yourself up to all kinds of chaos. Smash the like button if you agree. I'm back in just a little bit. So Kim Reynolds, she actually responded. So yesterday I kind of put her on blast, and she responded to the satanic altar controversy with an official statement. And let me just back up a little bit. There is a satanic temple altar. So the satanic temple, they put this altar up there, and we actually had this in Illinois just a couple of years ago, and it was allowed to be in our state capital here in the state of Illinois. But now Iowa has it in their state capital. This is an altar to Baphomet, and it's at the state capitol in Iowa. Now, she faced Kim Reynolds, the governor, who I actually really like, and I don't mind her response here. I wish, and if I was the governor, I'd go in there with a sledgehammer and I would bust it all up. Okay, because your satanic worship is not welcome in the state capitol, and I would bust it up because that's my right. But anyway, so she responds, and this is her official statement. She says, like many Iowans, I find the Satanic Temple's display in the Capitol absolutely objectionable. In a free society, the best response to objectionable speech is more speech. I encourage those of faith to join me today in praying over the Capitol and recognizing the nativity scene that will be on display. That is the true reason for this season. Then she goes on, she goes, today, faithful Iowans gathered in the Capitol Rotunda to display the nativity and pray for peace. Free speech is a right afforded to all, but how we use it matters. Today's event is proof that this is a battle between good and evil, and good will always prevail. So, yes, there's this satanic temple. We've had that before in our Illinois state capitol a couple of years ago. It's disturbing. Baphomet, if you were to look at the satanic religion, I am not an expert by any means. All I know is that the satanic religion is around this time. So, Satanists and paganists, what they will celebrate is the sacrificing of children. So, opposite of how we celebrate in the spring, Easter, we actually celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, his crucifixion. We recognize his crucifixion on Easter in the spring. And fun little fact, Easter is just a play on word for Ishtar, and the pagans, what they've done, they celebrate their own holiday around these times to, really stick it to the Christians, because that's their whole existence is to try to get Christians to uh hate themselves, to try to get Christians to bend the knee to Satan. But anyway, so Ishtar is the pagan deity or the satanic deity, where Ishtar is this goddess of fertility. And in the spring, what they would do, they would mate like rabbits, the pagans, the Satanists, and then they would take their offspring and they would sacrifice the offspring to pagan deities in the Christmas time, so in the winter solstice, because that's 9 months. So that's what takes a baby. It takes 9 months to grow a baby and to have a baby. And by the winter, they will have their babies ready to go for sacrificing to these pagan gods and to these pagan deities like Baphomet. Now, I am not an expert. It might be a little off, but that's the gist of it, folks. So to have this Baphomet character up at the state capitol, it's disturbing. And I don't totally disagree with Kim Reynolds' response here, but like I said, if I was the Iowa governor, I'd go in there with a sledgehammer and I would bust up the Baphomet. It's like a gargoyle looking character, and I would bust it up. So that's just my opinion on it. So another thing that I wanted to hit today was that Joe Biden is now being accused of snubbing the hostage families from the White House Hanukkah celebration. So there are several families, about 7 of them or so, several families who have family members who have been taken hostage and held captive by Hamas. And now the Biden administration is snubbing those family members, allegedly, by not allowing them to attend the White House 800-person Hanukkah party. So, several family members of the American citizen hostages missing in Gaza asked the White House to attend the Hanukkah reception, but they did not receive invitations. The White House has not responded to the media questions regarding the allegation. I'm sure that Kieran Jean-Pierre will get that today at the White House press briefing. But at least 7 U.S. citizens and 1 permanent resident are believed to be captives in of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, along with over 100 others after being kidnapped from southern Israel during the October 7th massacre, during which terrorists raped, tortured, and murdered 1,200 people, including 33 Americans. So this was Monday's Hanukkah celebration. I think it was celebrating the 5th day of Hanukkah, and this is so bad. This is really bad. We're committed. So during the celebration, Biden said, "We're committed to providing military assistance to Israel until they get rid of Hamas. I am a Zionist." And the crowd gave him an ovation, a standing ovation for saying that. So I'm shocked that he said he was a Zionist. Now, he's not, his actions speak louder than his words, folks. His actions speak louder than his words. Don't pay attention to what he says, pay attention to what he does. He refused to invite those families to this Hanukkah celebration. He's also continued to give funding over to Iran. Gave them, what was it, 600, was it million or $600 million or something like that. And we now think that provoked Hamas or gave Hamas the ability to carry out this attack on October 7th. So we've got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. I've got a story here that I think you're going to like. This is a story out of the UK, and I think you're going to enjoy it. It's kind of funny. 309-451-9299. Text me, and we'll be right back. Hey, good morning. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I so do appreciate it, Bob. Yes, I'd rather follow a religion that celebrates life over death. Yes, and so it shouldn't shock us that in the Bible, Hamas is actually referenced in the Bible, and a lot of people don't know that. But Hamas actually means lawlessness in Hebrew, and it's in the oldest texts of the Bible. Okay, Hamas is nothing new. But I've mentioned this before. Hamas, they are animals, and the satanic religion of, and really the religion that they follow is not um, a religion of life. They don't celebrate birthdays. They don't celebrate um, Christmas. They don't celebrate, or they don't have pets. Nothing like that. They don't celebrate life. And a lot of these pagan, satanic types of people, Hamas means lawlessness. They this religion is dangerous. And if I was Kim Reynolds, I would have gone in there with a sledgehammer and broke up Baphomet, honestly. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. Whew, man, that show, it just flies by. I'm not going to be able to get to the article that I wanted to. This MP, it's a member of parliament. It was a candidate, and he is a lesbian who's also a transgender individual, but he just wears a wig, so it's not like he's actually a woman. But he went after his opponent, and said that she was transphobic and said that she was gaslighting and everything because she actually posted a tweet and called him a man who just happens to wear a wig and calls himself a proud lesbian. And he did not appreciate that attack on her identity, on his identity. So the individual went on BBC, had an interview, and he said, without a shadow of the doubt, it's a transphobic comment. This was out of the UK, and you know, just so brave and beautiful. Just so brave and beautiful. And I, of course, here on the Morning Buzz, wish her well in all of her future endeavors. Not. All right. You guys have a great rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And you can always find me on YouTube. That's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and subscribe to my channel. That's Cat Peterson 929 on YouTube. Bye bye. I love you. Have a great Wednesday. It's already Wednesday.